Hi, welcome back to Second Act Rising. I'm Dr. Kimberly Harpur, speaker, mother, and sometimes a reluctant gladiator in the family court coliseum, unfortunately. For all of you lovely women out there who have been through separation, divorce, and family court, you will know how distressing that is and how stressful it can be. So today we're talking about stress, poor me syndrome, and surviving systems that are supposed to protect us, but sometimes feels like they're doing the opposite. It's for anyone standing in the storm, learning to anchor themselves instead of being swept away. Speaking about family courts, the interesting thing is for us that only have to endure the family court, hopefully once, maybe twice in our lifetimes, you have to understand that the family court will come first and foremost to preserving the relationship with both the mum and the dad, which in most instances, of course, is exactly what should be happening for that child's emotional well-being. But sometimes that is not in the child's best interest, especially in cases where there's been any kind of abuse, whether it's physical abuse, psychological abuse, or, of course, let's hope that never happens to you or me, but sexual abuse. Now, 10 days ago, on Tuesday, the family court in England and Wales changed their law. And it's heralded as an absolute breakthrough for the safety of children. England and Wales will no longer work on the presumption that contact with both parents is in the best interest of the child. Abusive partners have long used the court as a way of retaining control over their ex-spouses. And the family law shift has been hailed for a victory for children facing domestic abuse. And I point this out merely because if anyone here has navigated our family court in New Zealand, you will know that the family court comes from the same perspective of ensuring that there's both contact with both parents. And sometimes this obviously doesn't work in the best interest of the child if there has been any kind of abusive behaviour. And it's very hard speaking to the mothers because I'm a woman and the channel is made for women. But as a woman who's trying to preserve a healthy relationship with our children, it is very, very hard because first and foremost, we have to defend our position. You know, those lawyers or those judges do not spend time 24/7, year in, year out with you, and they have not experienced what you're experiencing. So when you first go through the court system, of course, it is your word against the other party's word. So my advice to you on that is to make sure that you document everything, that you take snapshots of the text messages if there's been any kind of abusive text messages, that you make sure that you have evidence, Loctite or tight lock or airlocked, airtight, airtight is the word, so that you can present this evidence in a non-emotional and clear fashion. That's the first thing. Obviously, coming from my perspective as a mum, my whole point with both my beautiful daughters is to help my children to be the best versions of themselves that they can. And if they don't want to do something, I try not to force them, obviously, but if they really want to do something, to help them, show them the way and help to guide them along that pathway. Sometimes breakups, court cases, drama, psychological abuse, all of this can lead to what I like to call PMS. And yes, not that time of the month, ladies, poor me syndrome. And if you Google this, there is actually a psychological term called PMS. And what it is it's feeling sorry for yourself, victimizing yourself, and continuing into that downward spiral. There is actually physiological evidence to say that poor me syndrome or that victimizing mentality and continuing to talk about all the bad things and getting the attention from that is actually causes hormonal release in the brain, right? So it's self-perpetuating. Oh my gosh, I feel so sorry for myself. I'm going to call my friend so-and-so. Oh my gosh, this is so terrible. I'm going to call this person. Oh my gosh, I feel so terrible. I'm going to call my mother and talk to her about it. And that continual conversation actually then within itself becomes quite addictive. Well, who hasn't been guilty of that? Even I have been guilty of that, especially lately. But thank goodness I have a very, very good friend who doesn't mind me calling her to talk about these things. Sometimes we go through life and it feels so stressful. It's 3 a.m. in the morning, you're waking up, and what do? You lie there feeling like the whole world is against you. It's dark outside, there's nothing happening, there's nothing to distract you, and all you can think about is your problem. That's happened to me too. And when I lie there at 3 a.m. in the morning with my voice in my head just telling me all the worst things in the world, I don't just lie there. I get up. And I'd advise you to do this. I make myself a cup of tea. I put my favorite television show on, have a Tim Tam, because aren't they great? And then stay for another hour and go back to bed, put my meditation music on, and try and get a little bit more sleep at the end of the night. So if any one of you are out there lying in bed at night, waking up because you're stressed about work or your family situation or your health, there are some great meditation music videos on YouTube. They are 432 Hertz, and it has been scientifically proven that this calms your nervous system down. You put it on YouTube, the music comes up, you can leave it playing softly in the background, it calms your entire nervous system down and helps you get back to sleep. I actually nowadays put that on when my daughter and I actually go to bed. I put it on for her and she sleeps so well, and I put it on for myself too. But if you're already asleep when you wake up, snap that YouTube back on and try and drift off to sleep. The second person I'd advise listening to is Dr. Joe Dispenza. Now his story is quite amazing, and he believes in manifestation and meditation. There is a morning meditation, which is a guided meditation by Dr. Joe Dispenza that usually I listen to first thing in the morning with my headphones on. It's about 20 minutes long, and about 10 minutes in, there's a section of this meditation music that he uses that just seems to put me straight to sleep. Now, I'm hoping that somewhere in my subconscious, my brain is still manifesting a great, amazing, positive life. But by that stage, I'm usually asleep. But visualization can actually change your whole body's physiology. You can start to visualize yourself in a different state than you are today. And look, I'm a science geek, and I have thought about visualization for quite some time. And I thought to myself, how does it work? How can it work? How can you visualize something and your life becomes that? And then the penny dropped, and I realized that every single physical or tangible thing that we have in our world has at some point been a visualization. Take the light bulb. The light bulb, before it became a light bulb, had to be thought out. It had to be drawn on a piece of paper. It had to be carefully designed. And eventually, that thought, that visualization, that manifestation became the light bulb. Same thing with an aeroplane. First, someone had to look at a bird and think, I wonder if we could fly. Then they had to think about how that would work. Then they had to design an aeroplane. Then they had to draw the aeroplane. Then they had to make small models. And eventually, the aeroplane, as it is known today and is so common today, came into the real world as a physical or tangible object. So why can't you visualize your own life like that? Think about exactly what you want. Design it in your head. Write it down on a piece of paper. Draw a picture of it if you like. And eventually you can create that visualization or that manifestation. Having a clear plan of what you want to see happen, and then every day visualizing that plan can create it. Manifestation is real, people. You will create and you will go towards where your mental energy flows. And this is why PMS is not helpful. Because if you constantly talk about your problems, if you constantly talk about how horrible, how awful your life is, you're constantly putting those thoughts out into the real world, guess what you will attract into your life? more bad things, because that's the only thing that your energy is focusing on. So get out of PMS, get out of poor me syndrome. It has been psychologically proven that PMS stimulates a part of your brain that makes you feel good because you're getting the attention. It's a bit like banging your head against a brick wall, right? When you stop, it feels good. So to get that feel-good feeling, you have to bang your head against the wall again. But let's face it, banging your head against the wall is not good for you. All right. So let's stop right here and let's take a deep breath in to reset our psychology. Let's go. And out. And breathe in. And as you breathe out, I want you to let go of all the negativity, all the bad thoughts. Breathe in good thoughts. Center yourself and breathe out bad thoughts. Let's reset. Let's reset today, here in this day, on this hour of your life. Let's reset our thoughts and get rid of stinking thinking. What I'd like you to do today is to get out a piece of white paper, blank paper. And I want you to write your name in beautiful writing along the top of that paper. And then I want you to carefully think about how you want your life to play out over the next, firstly, 5 years, then 12 months, then 6 months, 3 months, and then let's focus on what we want to see happen at Christmas. And the reason I do this is it's fine to have big, broad plans for the future. My daughter, for instance, came to me. I said to write down your running goals. She wrote on a piece of paper, I want to win the world championships. I want to win the Olympics. She's 10. So I laughed. I said, wow, sweetie, those are great long-term goals. But why don't we make some goals for this season? All right? So you have to have an idea of where you want to go, but you also have to have a much smaller idea of how you're going to start that idea to get there. And I think this is why a lot of people don't do the big visualizations, because they become overwhelmed with the thought of the big picture. How to eat an elephant? One bite at a time, I say. So think about your overall goal, what you would like to see achieved within 5 years, but then start to bring it back to smaller and smaller and smaller goals. And just having that goal, those small bite-sized goals, will help you to feel more in control of your destiny and more in control of your future. And you also need to make sure that what you're putting out into the universe is very, very clear. I mean, when we think about ourselves as little girls and we're Cinderella, we all think we dream of a knight on a white horse, in armor, shining or leaping towards us. But sometimes we don't get the knight in shining armor. We get a man driving a van. So be really clear with your goals. Be really clear and really specific with what you see, so that you don't mess up the universe's gift to you, and that universe doesn't get that wrong. You can write down your goals for potentially a relationship, if you would like another relationship, the kind of person you'd like to be with. At the very least, they need to be kind, loyal, faithful. They need to have a real job. They need to be educated, if you're an educated person, so that you can have real conversations with them. You can then make goals for work. If you're not happy in your job, you can take a step back and say, well, how am I going to be happy in my job? You can make a goal for health and fitness, weight loss. You know, what are you going to do? Are you going to start walking? Are you going to start doing 20 push-ups a day? Are you going to join a gym? All right? And the most important thing is to realize that you can't control everything. Sometimes you really do have to be the stream, the water that goes around the rock and not through the rock. But I have to reiterate that having a long-term goal and creating a pathway to get there will get you out of PMS. All right? Find a way to turn the lemons into lemonade. Find a way, when life gives you lemons, to add tequila and salt. If something happens that you don't feel is the path that you wanted, find a way to make it work for you. Don't try and go through the obstacle. Learn to go around the obstacle. All I can advise you to do is to try and see what the benefit is in the negative situation and to determine practical peace strategies in high stress situations. Create a calm corner, a literal spot in your home where no conflict happens, where no stress happens. Go out and buy yourself a beautiful candle. Spend the $30 on a beautiful candle that you put in the spot that smells just like you want it to smell. For me, that scent is vanilla. I love the smell of vanilla candles. I think it must remind me of baking cakes with my mother and using vanilla essence back in the day, because I absolutely love candles. The second thing I did for myself is every week I am purchasing myself some beautiful flowers. This week it is white tiger lilies. Now, there's just for some reason something about white tiger lilies that I just absolutely love. My friend came over, she said, "Oh, did someone give you those?" I said, "Yes, I gave them to myself," because I want to feel good and I want to walk into my room, into my dining room, and there on the table is the beautiful, beautiful flowers, and they just make me happy. So right now, today, I have these beautiful flowers and my beautiful vanilla candle burning, and just those little peace strategies help to center me and keep me calm. So find what keeps you calm and what makes you happy. Keep a folder of what you consider to be wins. You know, when I'm training young children, because I coach track, I keep a little booklet that starts the season with the time, so whether they run 17 seconds or 16 seconds or 15 seconds for the 100, and track that progress throughout the 3, 4, 5, 6 months that track goes for. So we have a start and a middle and a finish, and we can see how the training has worked. How have those goals been achieved that they want to achieve, and what do they need to work on? And that is a great strategy for us as adults. Track how you feel. Track your day. You know, if you can rate your emotions on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being, oh my God, I don't want to get out of bed, and 10 being super happy, where are you today? For me, I'm probably sitting around I would say an 8 today. But if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago, I was probably at a 2. Find practical ways to bring peace back into your life, because the reason they ask the adults to put the oxygen mask on themselves first in an aeroplane is no one can help anyone more needy unless if you can't help yourself. Keep a folder of every positive message, every small victory, every kind word. And when you feel like the world is against you, open the folder, read those positive messages. The next strategy is to detox your social media. Block, 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 block. Cut people out of your life that aren't on your team. Why on earth do you keep people in your life that are clearly not backing you? You don't need to explain yourself as an adult. You know your truth. You know that you're coming from a place of good integrity and a position of honor and honesty. You don't need to explain to people if your reasoning is sound. If they are not on your side, they are against you. Block, 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 block. Move, guys, as well. Move. No, let me move houses. I mean, keep moving. Movement or exercise metabolizes cortisol. If you exercise regularly for a long period of time, it de-stresses you. If you sit still without releasing all the added adrenaline, all the added stress hormones, it will turn into fatigue and it will make you feel worse and worse and worse. Stay connected. Find your person. Find even one person who believes you, supports you from the get-go. Take these practical steps that we're talking about and put them into place. And these should snap you out of your PMS and put you directly on the path to both mental and physical wellness and recovery. In life, stress will always test us, but it can also temper us. The trick is knowing when to have another coffee, when to pour another glass of wine, or when to pour all of this goodness into yourself. When to advocate, when to explain, and when to just sit and breathe. When to let the system spin, and when to stand in your own sovereignty. Here's the affirmation that I want you to print out and put on your mirror. I rise crowned, not broken. I recall my light. I am the keeper of my fire. If you're in the thick of it right now, just hold the line. The goal is to also win yourself back. So where to from here? Recalibrate, reboot. Stress is not failure. You have to learn back to give to yourself. Stress is a natural physiological response to a scary situation. And that situation doesn't have to be a lion leaping out of the bush at you in the deepest, darkest Africa. That situation could be a sickness that you're really afraid of. It could be your boss at work. It could be your ex. It could be the fact that, you don't know where to go to from here. How are you going to support yourself through all this? How your finance is going to work if you suddenly separated from a relationship and your husband has been the one who's been earning all the money and you've been looking after all the children. How's this going to work? Those situations are extremely stressful. First and foremost, understand that your feelings of stress are merely a response to an outside source that we don't feel like we can control. So we need to learn to control the things that we can control to minimize the stress on our bodies. Find out what works for you. For me, it's talking to friends, exercising, standing in the sunshine, buying myself some nice flowers, lighting a beautiful candle, and doing some breathing exercises, listening to meditation, and manifesting the life that I see ahead of me. Remember, most importantly, that you are important too, and that you have to give back to yourself. Giving out, and giving out with nothing coming back is only going to break you down. Start thinking about how you are going to be the best version of you. If you're feeling frumpy, grumpy, sick, if you feel your hair is just not glowing, there are really simple, easy strategies that can get you back to the path of being the glorious woman that I know you are on the inside. Join a gym. People say to me, I don't want to go to the gym. Join the gym. There's all sorts of excuses. I don't want people to be looking at me. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. Well, I can guarantee you that if you don't find the time for yourself, the universe will stop you in your tracks. Yes, there are some gyms that you do feel like there's a lot of pressure, especially if you go at peak times. I get that. But the YMCA, for instance, has a great gym facility that is super well priced. And when you go to the YMCA, there's all sorts of people. There's people from as young as 10 to people as old as 75. Nobody's wearing the latest gym gear. Nobody is worrying about what people are looking like. They're just there to get some exercise. And they're so friendly and they've got such lovely instructors that you will walk out of that gym session feeling amazing. And as far as time goes, it doesn't even have to be for a long time. If you do 30 minutes 3 times a week, it's better than nothing. People say to me, but I'll do it at home. But guess what? You'll buy all the equipment and you won't do it at home. In addition, on the buying the equipment front, I investigated buying a treadmill at home. And a cost of a decent treadmill is anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000. Now, the equipment they have at the gym is the good equipment, costs 20 grand. In all my gym memberships over 30 years, I still haven't paid $30,000 over 30 years worth of gym memberships. And at the gym, I get to use all the equipment, not just the treadmill, and they upgrade them and they fix them when they break down. So join a gym. If you really live in the country somewhere and you live too far away from any gym and you know that's just going to take too much time out of your day, that's a totally different story. But most of us, we aren't in those situations. The gym also gives you a sense of socializing, especially if you do classes to music. When I used to feel really stressed, I would go and do a body combat class. Now, body combat class is pretty awesome because you're punching and you're kicking the air. You're there with a room full of people. The music is, quite upbeat and upmarket, and you can really take out all your frustration. You're not actually physically hitting anyone. You're punching the air. So that's something that I really like to do. So give it a go. Who knows? You might actually enjoy it. So make an appointment with yourself, just as if you were making an appointment with a client. Make an appointment with yourself to take some time for yourself to go to the gym or a yoga class or a walk, at least in the sunshine. Start investigating diet. Investigate how to eat to be healthy. Now, find out about food. What's high in fat? What's a saturated fat? What isn't high in fat? Choose a simple way of eating rather than going on those fancy starvation diets that cost the earth, or fasting where you get too starvingly hungry. Eat 5 small meals a day. Eat more fruit and vegetables. Simple changes that can make you feel and look better than you do today. Drink lots of water. Try to get to bed early. Turn off once it hits 9 p.m. Find a friend to do these things with. Make an appointment with a friend to go and have lunch once a week. Have a social catch-up, even if you have to go and meet that friend to be able to go for that walk along the beach. Most importantly, start to find the way back to yourself. To put yourself, the pieces of who you are, back together. So right here, right now, I hope that I have been helpful. I hope that you have found a few bits of information that can really help you to start to navigate your stressful times. If this episode has resonated, share it with someone who's still in the courtroom of life, literally or metaphorically. The more we talk about these situations with people that understand us, the less power they have to isolate us. So until next time, breathe, advocate, and rise. You are not alone. Have a great week and see you next time. Thanks for listening.